Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com. For the last few years, we've been bringing you recipes, tips, and techniques on the weekly basis, and lately our team has been combing through the archives to pick out some of our favorites. The next thing I want to tackle is our pie dough. We're going to start off with some pastry flour. That's about 28 ounces of pastry flour. And I'm going to add to that 4.5 ounces of white sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt, and 18 ounces or 4.5 sticks of butter that I've cubed and frozen. All right, so we're going to get this on the stand mixer. We're using the paddle attachment. We're going to start this out slowly on low speed. Now what we're looking to do is break down that butter into small pea-sized chunks, and it's going to take several minutes to get there. All right, so now we've got this kind of shaggy consistency in here. Obviously we've got varying sizes of butter from little ones like that to slightly larger, but this is a really good spot to go ahead and add in our eggs. And I'm just going to drop these in one at a time and wait until it looks like it's incorporated before I add the next. All right, now all we need to bring this together is about 3 tablespoons of cold water. All right, we're going to stop this just as it starts to come together, and we'll finish up by hand. Now I'm not going to work this too much. What I really want to do is just kind of squish it into a shape so that it will hold together. Now we're going to rest this for a little while before we use it, so I'm going to wrap it up in plastic wrap. So this is a pretty good chunk. This is going to get you probably 2 to 3 pies. But before we roll that first pie out, I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the fridge for about half an hour to rest. All right, so here's about 1/3 of that chunk that we put into the fridge. The rest of it I'm just going to go ahead and freeze for the next time we make pie. So just working on our floured surface here. I'm going to roll this out. Definitely want to keep your surface floured so there's no sticking. All right, so it's nice and even now. It's thin but not too thin and large enough to cover the pie pan. I'm going to roll this up to transfer it over to the pan. Get a little grease down on the pie pan. And I want to lift the dough and press it down into the corners because it is going to contract a little bit and we don't want it to shrink up entirely. So we're going to feed it a little bit more than it needs. All right, now I'm going to trim off the excess and give myself a little bit of a border to work with. Now once I've got that excess hanging over, I'm going to fold it underneath just to create this crust here at the top. And that gives us this hearty crust at the top that we can then form however we like. Happy trees, happy pie dough. Now we are going to blind bake this pie shell here in a little bit, but it's going to bake best if we can give it about half an hour to chill down in the refrigerator first. All right, this thing's chilled down a bit, so what I want to do is get ready for the blind bake. What we're going to do is take a sheet of parchment paper, crumple it up, fill it with dried beans to weigh everything down, and then we can bake it until it's nice and golden in color. Now these beans are just dried beans. This is actually a bag of mixed dried beans. It's not important. Obviously, there's some pinto in there. It doesn't matter. Just anything that'll hold this down and put a little weight on the bottom. 375 for around 30 minutes should be just about right. All right, so we've got just a tiny bit of color on the bottom and a little bit around the edges. This has been about 25, 30 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off now. Oh no, we lost a little bit of our crust. That's all right though. So down here, just a touch of color, and we've done what we came to do, which is start to set the bottom before we get the liquid in there. In addition to the blind baking, one thing that we can do to make sure that the bottom doesn't get soggy is brush a little bit of egg white on it when it's nice and hot straight out of the grill. This is going to create a little barrier in between the liquid and the crust, and this will further ensure that we don't get any sogginess on the bottom. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, and if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below. And hey, let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to thesauce.atbbq.com. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.